content king.
Yeah.
Do you know the true Geordie? You're going to decide that, are you?
What the fuck is wrong with it?
You know how they play.
I want a piece of that.
Welcome back to the True Geordie podcast. Today's guest is Mams Taylor, also known as the man behind Misfits. The man behind a lot of things, actually, when you start looking into it. When I started looking into the history of how you became Mr. Misfits, I'm going to call it. There's a lot that went into this journey for you. It's actually quite amazing. Like the first thing that popped up, and I hope you don't mind me bringing this up, it was so ironic, and I'm sure you know where I'm going with it.
Yeah.
Was the fact that you dropped Jesse Metcalfe outside of a fucking LA nightclub, and I'm like, what did the gardener from Desperate Housewives ever do to you? But yeah, like let's start with that, bro. Like that was insane. That went viral. TMZ the lot.
Well, this is the thing, right? When you're in that moment and it's fight or flight, and you forget, you don't think, oh, look at all this paparazzi here. And back then, it was a new thing that everyone had camera phones and stuff like that. It was very new. So growing up in London, basically you settle your differences like men. Now you can't do that because it's lawsuit, it's a knife, it's acid being poured and this and that. So it was quite a normal thing. But going to LA in the Hollywood scene, it was more like, let me at him, let me at him. And so everyone was appalled that I threw this punch. They were like, you're disgusting. How can you do it? I'm like, the guy's just calling me out, saying, come on, you fucking this and that. Let's go, let's go.
That must be the prettiest man you've ever hit, by the way. He is a handsome motherfucker.
I didn't feel bad. He honestly was very arrogant, deserved it. See, the TMZ thing, not because it was a malicious edit.
You were one of the first memes, by the way. Like, yes. they literally were rolling this at every opportunity and any video that they put out.
It was crazy because out of nowhere, TMZ's following me every day. Hey, Mams, do you want to fight Suge Knight? I'm like, what? You know, Mams, this, that. I did reckon myself and I was a bit of a bad boy. And I'm very lucky that I didn't come across as someone less pretty than Jesse Metcalfe in my journey.
Yeah, Suge Knight might have been a second thought. And isn't it ironic, like, you kind of have made a living, as well as a lot of things, off of celebrity fighting when you were one of the original celebrity fighters in that moment.
We were talking about a celebrity boxing match. Everyone, TMZ was saying, let's run it, let's do it.
Unreal.
Yeah, so it is ironic. But to just put it out there also, he really did start it and he was rude and this and that. And they cut what happened previous to that, which I put him in a choke, a rear naked, and let him go. And then he goes, it's on, motherfucker, it's on. And then I threw the punch. And then him and 4 of his mates jumped me in the club, in the gifting suite. So I had my hands, I was holding a mobile phone. I was holding a gifting basket for my girl at the time. And then someone comes and chokes me. And then there's a massive guy and a really small guy. And I'm short. I'm 5'7". This guy was like half my height and he was punching me in the balls. It was all so surreal.
Fucking hell.
Yeah. And this other big guy, they made out with my shoe. Nothing bad happened. And then Jesse and I made up over time because you're going to run into each other over and over again. And I said, let's iron this out. And he goes, bro, no, you know, like, let's just call it quits. You fucked my career up. I'm like, I'm sorry, blah, blah, blah. It was just a Hollywood night that got captured on tape.
And you were very much in the Hollywood scene. When I was looking at the names of people that you've been working with, there's like Good Charlotte, you did stuff with them. There's a music video with Rampage Jackson and Mila Kunis in it, which is your music video. Then you've got Snoop Dogg, The Game, Lil Kim, T-Pain. That's like a who's who of the hip-hop era. Like of that generation. What was that like?
Again, I think it was just, I was riding high. I was a fixture in the club scene. I owned a nightclub. I co-owned a nightclub and a very hip sort of sushi restaurant. And I think my existence at the time was very shallow in terms of, I became very successful at a young age. I get to this place where I'm rubbing elbows with these guys and it was the norm. But the reality of it was, I didn't really make solid friendships with any of them. Not to say they're all bad people. They're not. There's some good, some bad. But it was, LA is a hub if you're not careful and you don't know yourself enough. LA is a hub where people will literally step over their own grandmother to make it. And it's a clout thing, but clout back then was a different thing. It was pre-social media.
It's London is like that these days.
I think most big cities are like that now because more people can be famous, Instagram famous and social media famous. And the irony is the reason I got into music, to be very, very honest, was because I remember we were hanging out with Timberlake. I've known him for a long time and a few other people. And I was like, and I had all this dough and I was in my 20s. I was 25 years old walking around and I was getting respect. And then I saw Timberlake get a different level of respect. And I saw different celebrities and athletes. And I was like, well, fuck this. I want to get that respect. So I was good at poetry. So I said, let me rap. I think I could rap. It was not a great idea, but I literally started getting into music because I wanted to be famous. And the irony of it was, by the time I got any good at understanding music and becoming really passionate about it, I didn't want to be. I was like, that's the worst thing in the world, to be famous and to be all of that. So it's kind of a spiritual journey that evolved from getting into something for the wrong reasons and staying with it for the right reasons. You know,
isn't that funny that when you finally honed your skills and then became as an executive producer for KSI and other artists, you're now in the background and you don't want the fame really.
No. And you want to be, it's kind of a weird thing because at the end of the day, right, let's be honest, and I love KSI's fans, right? But the reason you want to be famous for anything is because you want to be acknowledged for the work you do. That's a nice valid side of the validation. If you do good work, you want people to respect it. But on the other hand, for a young guy, you're just like, the validation is like, it comes with women. You know, for a man, that's basically what part of the goal is. Why do we do half the things we do? Maybe 80% of the things we do, right? Especially when you're a youngster. So, and if you don't have an identity that you're sure of yourself, you gravitate towards these things that you think, oh, this image of me is going to be cool, rather than understanding who you really are and being embraced for that. And what we take for granted is, we underestimate how intelligent other people are. People see through our shit when we put an act on. But you don't think that. You think, oh, they'll think of me like this.
Yeah. Did you look back at it and feel like people seeing you for what you were and maybe you found a lot more substance later on in life and discovering who you really are?
The more you know yourself, the less you give a shit what anyone thinks.
Yeah.
And that's a journey. You know, I feel sorry for these kids on Insta. My daughter's 19 years old and I love her more than anything, but I always feel bad because she's a beautiful, super talented girl. But her, all of her friends, everyone, they're all constantly being force-fed all these images of these girls who are, showing themselves on Instagram to look a certain way. And I've been on dates with some of these girls. They don't look the same in real life, you know, but that pressure is always on and you're always comparing yourself to those people. So it's a really slippery slope. And I think, I think limiting the amount of time you spend on that is really, really important for a kid.
We've got an unlimited access to be famous. Like everyone and anyone can be famous. And that's great because we're unearthing gems left, right and centre, like KSI, for example, who maybe if it was still just limited to what the mainstream media would allow into the club, would not have made it. But kind of, it's opened the floodgates for a desperate chase for fame, for people who are going to waste their lives trying to get famous. It's going to happen a lot of and you're going to see it more than anyone because you're essentially a kingmaker now in this space. You can go, I'm going to take you and I'm going to bring you onto the record label. I'm going to take you and I'm going to bring you onto Misfits. That comes with responsibility in itself because some people mentally aren't fit for that.
A lot of people aren't. And I think that I'm not trying to be a preachy person, but I think having some spiritual grounding, and when I say spiritual, it can be in any form. Spirituality, a lot of it is actually just being present. And if you're really present, you're capable of understanding and appreciating and walking with gratitude. Honestly, for me, it's very hard for me to ever be depressed, even when I've lost everything, even when I've gone through massive battles, because I've always remained grateful, optimistic, and disciplined. And when you have a routine and you're disciplined, I've had depression come to me at times, and or it comes from within, I guess, or experiences, traumas, all that. But for me, having a routine that I'm disciplined to carry out makes it very difficult to stay still. And I think when we're still, and not still in the positive way, but still in the way of we're giving ourselves so much time to be up here in our heads, then that becomes our enemy.
What were those challenges? Like, was there one thing that stands out in your story pre this new version of you that's really coming into your own clearly, where you were like, God, that was a real point of who the fuck am I?
I had tens and tens and tens of millions in the bank, liquid money, a massive mansion in Beverly Hills, 9 cars, Lambos, this, that, traveling on 180-foot yachts and private jets, rubbing elbows with everyone and having, dating like the hottest of the hottest in LA and flying around doing all this. And I was in my room and I had, I had company with me. I woke up and I'm just like, and I was partying, and not to go into detail, but I was partying.
Yeah,
and I was just like, I've got everything. Why am I so fucking lonely? Why do I feel lonely and I'm never alone? Mm-hmm. And that's why I felt lonely, because I was never alone and I was never comfortable with being alone. So at that point, I said this little affirmation or prayer. I said, God, please let me have happiness. What can I do to have happiness? Within 6 months, I lost close to $70 million. Every penny I had, gone.
How did that happen?
The market, bad investments, trading like I was gambling, like I knew what I was doing, and I didn't. I just had this arrogance because I was on an upswing and I had all this luck and all this other stuff kept happening. I was a good hustler, but I wasn't as knowledgeable as I thought I was at all. And yeah, I got stung, and it happened over a 6-month period very quickly, to the point where I had about just under $300 to my name. No watches left, no cars, no art, no house, nothing. And it was the most liberating, amazing feeling to have that, because I also lost all the friends, the fake friends. I only had a few good ones now.
Your circle gets smaller when the shit hits the fan, bro.
Massively. And there were a couple of good ones that stuck through it all,
You know what? Sometimes it's the ones you don't expect as well.
Totally.
And the ones you truly believe are going to be there, they're the quickest out the fucking door.
Listen, there's a guy, without mentioning names, there was a guy I flew out on a private jet, loved him. He was like, I thought he was a great mate of mine. Would come hang out on the boat, and I'd pay everything, the bills, this, that, the other. Ended up screwing me hardcore. Another guy, I loaned him $500,000 just like it was nothing. He's like, hey, I can't pay my dad's Black Amex bill. He's going to kill me. I'm 500 short. And that was part of the circle of people I was hanging out with. There was rich kids, celebs, athletes, this, that. So I was like, all right, no problem. When I lost everything, I said, listen, I need to borrow $10,000. I'm selling my last watch and I'll pay you back easy because the watch is worth more. He just disappeared. And I saw this guy probably 5 days a week.
Entitlement's a strange thing, isn't it? Because you've created that in a way.
I did. I totally created it. Well, this is the other thing I learned is, and I'll tell you, Brian, I think for me, losing money was never painful. I adapted very quickly to new sets of circumstances. I'll tell you a quick story. I was friends with Kim K. Good friends, right?
This guy
come over to the house.
Was that like what era are we talking roughly? Do you know? Pre-Kanye?
Yeah, pre-Kanye.
Yeah.
She was relatively famous, not as big as
sort of Paris Hilton era.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she would come over, hang out. She'd set me up with mates, and we never had any attraction. It was more just like she was a mate. I met her family, lovely, really nice in person to everyone. And she saw me with all these supercars, and she'd like, there's one Bentley I had, and she's like, can I borrow this? I'm going on a date. I'm like, yeah, sure. And then she was with another fella at a charity event. She's like, Mams, I hadn't seen her for a while, and this is past the sex tape release, and she's now huge, right? Massive. So I haven't seen you for so long. She's telling her boyfriend, this guy has the best cars. At this point, I had a rented Ford Focus. Okay. So as the valet is bringing the Ford Focus around, she's coming out and I get into it proudly. I'm like, yeah, fuck it. And I say, bye, Kim. And she's just looking like, no way. Why is this boy in a Ford Focus, you know? But
That's wild.
That stuff didn't bother me. What hurt me was money I can make honestly, without much effort. I can manifest money into my life. What was really tough for me was relationships. The reason I wanted to make money was because I thought this is what's going to validate me. And what's going to validate me is when I remember being a kid in school and I was the only brown kid in my class. It was tough because I was rejected. I had crushes on everyone. My older brother was like Mr. Saturday Night Fever, and he was this guy like John Travolta in the clubs. Took me to Stringfellows when I was 14.
Legend.
Yeah, totally. So I'm seeing that. And until I was about 15 years old, I had no luck with women at all. And I was terrible at it. I kept getting rejected, and I'd go up to girls that I didn't know and I'd be like, look, I really love you. I've made this mixtape for you. Fucking cringing and embarrassing, right? Looking back, but I was a kid. I think I got the money because I thought that's what validates me and makes me attractive, because I didn't know who I am and what I have to offer beyond that. So then going so hard and making money my God at the time, was the mistake. And then obviously you're going to lead to relationships, and what happens is you tend to attract people who make you feel familiar to the feelings you had as a child growing up.
So true. I've got friends of mine who've had bad relationships with their mothers and they replicate that with their missus.
Of course.
Weird.
Yeah, unless it heals. You can heal it.
Yeah, you can.
And awareness is the first step, but it's not the only step, as I found out 3 wives later, you know. So
that's good numbers, bro.
Yeah. So I was totally unaware. I thought it's all their fault. And I'm the savior. I'm coming to save them. And I see them troubled and this and that.
And you've got the money to save them.
And it wasn't that, though. It was, I would do anything to avoid looking in the mirror and saving me from what I really have to overcome, because that's much harder than saving someone else, which you can't do. You try and save them. You give them a little bit of a honeymoon period. Soon after that, you're both back to what you were going into the relationship. But now you've got a scapegoat. Now you look at each other and say, it's your fault that I'm miserable, because you have someone else there to avoid your own feelings and your own demons and that kind of thing. So I learned that the hard way and realized, actually, if it's 90% your fault, 90% their fault in your mind, in your logical men's mind, and I'd be like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take that 10% and I'm going to take responsibility for that 10% and don't focus on the other. That's where magic really fucking happens, because the moment you say, hey, look, I'm sorry I did this, the other person as a human being, 90% of the time will go, you know what, I'm sorry I did that. Now you're not challenging each other's egos. It's when you challenge each other's egos that it just goes and erupts into a vicious circle.
You're so right. And relenting that power and just stopping the fight and giving yourself to each other and going, I'm 100% here for you. You're 100% here for me, and we're on the same team, instead of two opposing players almost, you know what I mean, challenging each other to be the leader of the pack. And going back to what you were saying about the money as well, I'm assuming if money is your God, like you were saying, you're also attracting women who aren't with you for you.
They don't know why they're there with you. They justify it to themselves that it's a good reason. People think, but at the same time, I'm attracting someone because I think that's a status symbol for me to be dating this celeb. So why is that any better than them dating me because of money? It's both shallow premise to build on, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
You know, this relationship I'm in now, for example, it's built on proper friendship, respect. There's not one single fight. All we do is laugh, joke, and it's happened very organically. There's no agenda there. Other than,
you have to grow up to get to that point, though, don't you?
Fucking hell, do you?
Yeah.
And it's a lot of suffering to get there, a lot.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in the same place right now in my head, in my life. You have to grow to get to that point where you're like, okay, here's my self-worth, here's who I am, I know what I am, I know what I want, and I know what I'm looking for. And unfortunately, you do have to be humbled a lot to get to that point. And I think you looking at what you've been through, I've been through a similar thing where I've lost things. On the day you do it, it's hard.
It is.
But like you say, it is liberating because you do find out who the fuck is real and who isn't. And you do build a much better friendship group out of that, and you do realize who you really are, and that money isn't who you really are.
No.
It is just a thing that helps you live a certain way rather than being the goal. And yeah, what was Kim Kardashian like? Just going back to it, like, was there other celebrities of that ilk that you were hanging around with? Like, what drop some names, come on.
No, there were a lot.
Yeah.
We were all hanging out a lot at the time, a lot of the athletes, there was a club, Bri, called Teddy's, and it was run by this amazing woman called Amanda Demi. I remember pulling up. I was in a 3-piece pinstripe suit, Tony Montana style, my hero, right? So I pull up in a Carrera GT, like this. It's the first one out there. Was like, and back then $500,000 for a car was a lot of money,
Yeah.
My boy had an Enzo behind. We go in. She goes, "You're not coming into this club. You guys are cheesy as fuck. This isn't what I want." And I was like, "What do you mean?" And she goes, I said, "Well, get us 20 bottles of Chris. Let's go." And she goes, "No, that's not how it works here." It was the first place in LA that had ever been like that. She said, "But I like your energy. I can tell you're a nice guy. You're a bit lost, but just come back tomorrow and we'll have a chat." Came back. She bought me 5 beers and she said, "Sit down. I'm buying the rounds of beers for you guys, this, that." That club, pre-TMZ, pre-camera phones, and you had Jack Nicholson doing his thing on the table. You had, what's the girl's name? Jessica Simpson to, I don't know, Jessica Alba. You had A-listers all over the shop, and no one was worried, and they were all doing what they're doing, not worried about it, and it was
we
like
all know
Studio...
Jack's legendary reputation. Yeah.
Yeah. It was like Studio 54 of the modern era, and it only lasted for about 9 months before the camera phones and the TMZ stuff.
You invested into Lady Gaga's career.
Before anyone knew
before she was even Lady Gaga. Yeah. Because I remember seeing her on MTV shows, like, there's clips of her before she became famous, where she was like doing her thing. So did you spot her talent before it all took off?
No. Someone brought her to me and said, like, she's going to be massive, signed to Interscope, let's do this thing together, that kind of thing. When she became massive, what happened was, I was like, oh shit, I have no money left. Where else have I invested? And where else? Oh yeah, well, Lady Gaga's obviously, and it's not like I just left it for years. I had a relationship.
Did you start working with her in the studio?
Yes. So I was in studios with all these guys, some from T-Pain, Snoop to Robbie, all these guys just sitting there. But I had no clue what I was doing. So I wasn't getting credit for anything that I was doing. I wasn't registering my publishing. I went to the School of Hard Knocks and basically got done left, right and center, but got an education out of it and realized and had to learn the hard way. I didn't go in there as a musical guy because honestly, my mum still listens to Julio Iglesias and maybe a bit of Bon Jovi at most, So I didn't have a diverse musical background. I didn't learn the flute. I didn't do any of that. But it was just, I immersed into this and I morphed into this area because my passion before that was theater, just acting. I didn't want to do film. I just loved acting on stage. But I got sick and tired of getting cast as either a terrorist or a Mexican gangster. And I could do the voices well. I did them. But so then I got a job on the door and I was working in the West End for a few years, did really well, relatively speaking, from that, and did well for the club, and then made a lot of relationships and got into real estate and all this other stuff. And
wow, okay. This makes sense now. When you say you immerse yourself in the studio realm, are you learning how to make beats? Are you writing, or all of the above?
All of the above. And I basically faked it. I would act like I know what I'm doing. And I'm sure if there was a compilation of clips of stupid things I've said and done to the big celebrities and people, the cringe would be unbelievable. I would probably melt. But yeah, it's just all stuff I learned. But it also was the fact that I was in these clubs having a convoy of 6 cars follow each other, all the beautiful women, big bouncers. I was so cringe at one point, but I knew it. I was aware of this. I had 2 geisha girls dressed in full geisha outfits fanning me at the club wherever I went. People would say, oh my God, that guy's, what is he doing? But as soon as you give them attention in LA, they'd be like, okay, yeah, I'll come hang out, you know?
So it worked then.
It did work at the time.
And it's all based on that, like that insecurity of you being that short kid, you know, who felt like he was neglected from women. And
it was all of that. I had this alpha male inside me, but my perception of an alpha male, it was wrong, basically. It was off. An alpha male is James Bond. He's cool. He doesn't give a shit. He doesn't get upset about little things. You know, that's someone who's maybe, I don't know if that's a good example.
No, I hear you.
It is, but you know,
your insecurity was pouring out.
My insecurity was crazy, and it was a cultural thing as well. Bringing that in and being the only kid, you know, I wasn't allowed to speak English. We didn't speak English in my house until I was like 4 or 5 years old. So I'd go to nursery and I didn't know what the fuck anyone was saying. I was so frustrated.
That's hard.
Yeah. I think I learned early on overcoming challenges is an appealing thing to me. And whether it was a girl, and things back then were very different to what they are now. When a girl said, hey, I'm not interested in you, you're short, you're not my type, and I'm dating George Clooney currently, so fuck off. That wasn't a no to me. That was like, okay, you're going to wake up with 500 roses, shoes in your size. I've spoken to your publicist, this, that, and an invitation to dinner and a this and that. And then she became my wife, you know? So
really?
Yeah. So it was a different,
that really happened?
Yes.
You fucking mad bastard.
Yeah. And more like things like that all the time.
Wow. There's just so much I'm getting hit with right there with it. Let's go on the woman thing. Because the one thing that did make me giggle a little bit, and I hope you don't mind me saying this, we can cut it out.
Go ahead.
But there's an iconic moment in movie history.
Yeah.
In Liar Liar.
Yes.
And I could not believe this because I've seen this clip 1,000 times. And if anyone has, it's when Jim Carrey gets in the elevator and he looks next to a woman. He can only tell the truth. And he says, you've got massive jugs. Right? And she's a very pretty woman. You married that woman.
Yeah.
That alone gave me an insight of like, oh, this man wants the thing that every man is wanting. And for whatever reason, I don't know what that woman was like. Obviously, I'm sure she was lovely and that's your business. But you were looking for status. You were finding women who added to your value, for sure.
100%. And look, she's an amazing woman who's overcome a lot for herself as well. Can't say a bad word. But together, we were oil and water, just like anyone I was attracting. So it's like when you're attracting these, it's not that you're better than them, right? It's that you're both completely clueless to the ability of taking responsibility for who you are. And you know how people are like, love yourself first before you love anyone. If you wholly loved yourself, then you wouldn't have any time to love anyone because it's a fucking work in progress journey that lasts 150, 200 years.
Oh, yeah.
Beyond our lifetimes. But if you're able to be self-aware enough to acknowledge the baggage you come with and don't ask the other person to hold that baggage, there's some things that inevitably you're going to take on together if you fall in love and everything else. But,
of course. But
being conscious of not making the other person responsible for your happiness, it's such a big, big thing. You know, because the truth is only you can make yourself happy. Only you can. And perspective has a lot to do with that. And we get comfortable in these situations where we rely on other things. We rely on money and cars and things. That stuff doesn't make you happy. I say that from experience, having been broke, having been wealthy, and having made it back again. And from a very different standpoint, I'm not at the club anymore. Going
back into this Lady Gaga situation, you're in this lawsuit. So you invested money into her and you didn't have anything to show for the situation that you'd helped build, I guess. Yeah, and we settled after a few years of basically me, living paycheck to paycheck and everything else. And that helped me get back on my feet. Did that create a rift in terms of emotionally between you and her and maybe other artists that you've worked with before when that's gone sour?
No, I mean, I was never super close with her or anything like that. You know, I met her, first time I met her, she came to my house in a tracksuit and hair in a bun. And I was just like, wow, she's really talented and she's very confident and different. And I immediately said, I said to my friend that introduced us, I said, she's definitely a star, 100%. Let's get behind it. Let's do it. Let's figure it out. And I'll say this, I think that me losing all of that money and then getting a settlement, I got what I deserved in terms of, I think on the come up, I wasn't the person I am now. I didn't have the same set of principles. I would be like, I justify taking more money. I was a bit of a scumbag with that because I didn't know, I didn't have the moral compass. And I said, oh, well, I did way more work than this guy. Even though we said, let's go 50-50, I'm going to take 900 and you get 100 grand. And I paid for it and it all got taken from me, basically. That's my philosophy of it. I think it's almost a self-imposed, karmic sort of retribution.
And this makes a lot of sense because, look, obviously we're kind of work together a little bit behind the scenes on Misfits, and I see how you treat the fighters very fairly. And I can only assume that all of those experiences have played into why you are the way you are now.
100%. You know how some people are naturally just nice people with a great moral compass. They make the right decisions. They know the difference between right and wrong. I don't think I had that luxury. So it was a voyage of discovery and things wouldn't feel good. Like sometimes doing something bad would end up hurting you, you know, like cheating on someone you were with or whatever. That kind of stuff ended up hurting me. And I thought, oh, I'm Jack the Lad. It's okay to have a wife that you love as long as you treat her well. And you, as a man, you should be able to do whatever you want. But she hasn't consented to that. Yeah. We haven't had that arrangement. There's no honesty. And I'll tell you what, putting my phone out and not taking it to the shower with me feels really good, man.
You know, we can both agree on that as well, bro. We've definitely learned a lot over the years because cheating, when you first start doing it as a young man, sometimes you justify it in your head of, oh, I haven't been treated well, so therefore fuck this, and I'm going to go and do what I want in this moment. And look, sometimes I get why we do that, right? And sometimes that's a sign right there, bro. You know, if you're feeling that way, then obviously you shouldn't fucking be there. But for whatever reason, sometimes we don't make that decision and we keep going. And now as an older guy, I feel it's so nice to have a clean conscience and to not feel wrecked with guilt and hiding and lying is so taxing. Lying is so much energy. Like the best life you can live is one without lying, for sure.
It's so much more clean. It feels like eating clean. Yeah, it honestly feels the same. Yeah. when you put your head on your pillow and you know you've done your best, you know, to be a good person and to try to live by a certain code. And I think that weight that you carry of that guilt, some people are really good at it and they don't feel the guilt as much, I guess.
I mean, they're basically psychopaths in my opinion. Yeah, but I agree. Like, to be able to do shit like that is a skill in itself and not a good one. And going back to the KSI thing, so you've obviously you've left the Lady Gaga situation, you've set up your own management company, and you're introduced to JJ. What were you making of him at that point? And how long ago was this roughly?
2018.
Right. So he'd been dabbling in music a bit, but obviously nothing had quite taken off anywhere near the level of what it did once you got involved. And when were you like, yeah, I can make this happen for you?
SX called me. He's like, hey, I'm doing some work with KSI. And I was like, oh, that's the guy who did the boxing match. I think he'd done Logan.
Yeah, that would have been Logan. Yeah.
And Joe Weller. So I said, okay, yeah, my daughter showed me that match and this and that. I was like, cool. And he goes, bro, he's really, really a good guy. He's a great guy. And I think we could, you know, help him out with music. And he doesn't really have a manager who's helping him with music that understands music. I said, okay, let's set up a call. I think it was the next day or whatever. I did my research on him, listened to his songs. And then we got on a call, spoke for about 30, 40 minutes. And by that point, I believed and I saw the vision. I was like, he's got a unique voice. He's got a fan base. Having a fan base on a different platform can be a massive disadvantage to having a music career. You know, many, many, many people have tried and failed. Mm-hmm. So as much as people think, oh, well, you've got a base already, most of his fans wouldn't really, they didn't love his music as much. They wouldn't show up to his music, but they'd show up for a meet and greet, for example.
Right.
So these were things that I looked at, and I said to him, I said, if you're really dedicated, these are the goals. We're gonna get you a top 10 in the UK. We're gonna get a #1 album. We're gonna get a #1 single, and then we're gonna break America. He goes, all right, let's just start. And he was just chill. He's like, that sounds good. I'm excited. But at the end of and that was it. He signed the contract like 5 minutes later after one call. And I was like, you sure? And he goes, yeah, man, I got a good feeling. And I said, me too. And we built a relationship that was based on trust. I think we built the trust. I mean, we got tested a lot. And I think the loyalty was a big thing.
How do we get tested?
A lot of people saw me rush in and they saw me as an outsider, and some still do. The thing with me is that I have been, with all of my clients, we have even the kids that work for me, Jake, Abs, these guys who run UK and US and all that for the music side of things. We have a moral code, and we have a sort of moniker where we say the mental and physical health of our client comes before everything, before every check, before anything. That's number one. Number two is their brand long term and their connection with their fans, not doing something that's going to alienate your fan base and this and that. Of course, you can't control their every move, but strategically as a manager and as a management company, you want to be aligned with that. And third comes the money. And JJ and I have rejected maybe $300+ million since we've started working together, just from all these things that didn't align with making him happy, the exertion of energy to put into this shoot and that. You know how it is, Brian. Mm-hmm. People think, oh, he's just doing an ad or a music video or this and that. That takes a lot mentally and physically. I'm not saying feel sorry for anyone, but it does take energy to do that.
There's only so many hours in the day and people forget that.
Yeah.
And you get dragged in a million different directions. So it is important to have someone looking out for a mega star like him.
Yes.
Sure.
That's genuinely, when you see what a nice guy he is, you know him.
Of course.
Away from the KSI image and everything else, the humility, that he's a humble guy. He's very helpful to so many people, very quietly. Some, are in the public eye, but some very quietly. I've seen things that he's done. And the first time was when we had an intern on the music video to the Trippie Redd KSI song, Wake Up Call. And this intern comes and KSI is like, hey man, I have no Wi-Fi. And I said to the intern, I was like rushing around. I was like, hey man, give me your phone. I need to use it for JJ to be on your hotspot. And you just got to keep your phone here. JJ was like, no, hold on. What's your name, bro? Are you sure it's okay that I use your phone? Is it okay with you? Like, I know, everyone's glued to their phone, so I don't want to.
Yeah. And he's very polite for sure.
He'll make sure he knows everybody's name. He's the first person there to show up and he's the last to leave. Mm-hmm. He's got the work ethic. And I see what frustrates me, and everyone wants the same results that he gets without putting in the work.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And let's go back to the outsider.
Yes.
Right? Because if there's one thing that everyone who's close to JJ understands is like a lot of people depend on him, and when you become the money bag, everyone is your friend and everyone wants a piece of you. So you're coming in with a legitimate set of skills that can potentially elevate him to another level, but other people don't know that, and it's not necessarily even that they're trying to keep him for themselves, but you are an outsider at that point. So what kind of difficulties did you come up against?
People who shall remain nameless, I'm not trying to start beefs and things, but people tried to cockblock a lot of deals. People tried to cockblock things.
What kind of deals would you...
Like the first music deal we did, we got...
Was that with Sony? Yeah?
No, it was with BMG.
Okay.
After they weren't part of Sony at that point. Got him a mega deal as an independent artist, stays independent, owns his own masters, big check, freedom to basically do what we want creatively.
Why did they try to cockblock that, do you think?
It's not always malicious. Sometimes it might be, but I think that most people's perspectives on their opinions and advice is sprinkled with their own objectives as well.
Of course.
You can't blame people for that. And, but at the same time, it's very hard to give a selfless, very objective opinion when you're in the mix in some capacity.
Mm-hmm. When you're getting a cut of the deal, or maybe not getting a cut of this deal, but would have gotten a cut of a different deal.
But the problem was the different deals were a lot smaller and a lot less valuable and a lot less cool and a lot less, so nothing compared to it. Like take Prime, for example. But look, I was doing well before I met JJ. At that point, I was already back on my feet, doing pretty well. And then JJ comes along, and as much as I helped facilitate a lot of things for him, he was the perfect partner to do that with, because his work ethic, his principles, and I literally have said no to working with, again, names I won't mention because they're pricks. And I don't want my energy to be expended on people who are going to give me a hard time for nothing, and be prima donnas and this and that. That guy isn't.
It's funny. It kind of reminds me of the story of Dr. Dre when he hit a bit of a lull when Death Row had finished, and he was, people were looking at him like, you're done. And then he found Eminem, and it just gave him a new lease of life, and he was back up, feeling the best he could.
Yeah.
And it sounds a bit like that, how he was a catalyst for you as well.
100%. I mean, I think we brought out the best in each other. We've got each other's backs, and we're honest with each other, and also we're not afraid to disagree with each other. He'll tell you, and I'll tell you the same. Many times we've butted heads, but we cool off.
Tell me one of the times you remember specifically where you were like, this was biblical.
Prime.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Prime.
Am I right in thinking you're part of the Prime deal as well?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So basically, I think this is the biggest one. We've had loads, and sometimes I've been wrong. I'm not always right 100%, but I can walk away and reflect and say, oh shit, you know what, you were right about this.
Yeah. And I've seen that myself from like us doing the Misfits chats. You are very open-minded, for sure.
I definitely try to, but what happened was, we're in a group chat, 6 partners.
Was Logan one of those?
Yes. And I think we were a week away from launching, okay, and contracts were about to be signed. Something happened in the group chat where JJ got offended. Okay. And it wasn't because he was wrong to be offended, and it wasn't because the intention was to offend him at the same time. It was a total mismatch, miscommunication, American and English sense of humor. Not
was that Logan or no?
Let me not say more than that.
Okay.
It actually wasn't. But
okay.
But it was a misunderstanding. And it was a series of that happening. And I, as someone who lives in America, I understood it. And I was like, oh no, this is going to get taken wrong, blah, blah, blah. So I'm just sort of like feeling awkward. And I was right. JJ emailed the lawyers, hey, I don't want to do this. I'm out. And deleted himself from the group chat.
Dude, when you think about what Prime has become, wow.
Yeah.
I mean, the amount of money, let's just estimate what is the value currently of Prime? What are they valuing at? Do you know?
I'd say it's about 8 to 10 billion.
Okay, so it's a mega company, and at that moment you don't know that, but you know there's potential there, and you're watching it walk out of the WhatsApp group.
Yeah,
it's like
no, it was bad because look, the seed was planted when I hit Logan up and I said I want you to be on the KSI show as the ghost of Christmas past or whatever. This thing we had for the KSI show.
Yeah, I remember.
We had a lot of criticism for as well. It was a great show. Yeah. I enjoyed it still. Anyway, Logan was really cool. And I'd been saying to JJ post their second fight, I'm like, it's difficult to not like this guy. On Impulsive, I'd been watching him.
Bro, I've been there. When I met Logan the first time, and I was like, UK guy, Team KSI and all of that, and I disliked Logan's actions previous to that. But when you meet him, people don't understand. He's a nice guy. And,
What won me over, going back to the incident, is when I called Logan and I said, hey, I need to talk to you. I'm not giving up, but right now as it stands, this is what's going on. And the Prime thing, Logan was a fucking superstar about it. He was self-reflective, very calm, very understanding. And also he was like, look, it's fucked because we've all done so much work for this. I mean, especially Logan, JJ, and the guys, the other guys behind it who are geniuses. They put a lot of time, effort, energy into this. So the way he reacted and the way the other guys reacted was so cool that I then went back to JJ and I said, listen, you can't just say, no, I'm not doing this. As a man, this isn't something that is right. And he said to me, you're right. You know, he didn't argue and resist it. It was 2 days after because I knew he needed a cooling off period. Mm-hmm. And I said, just do me one favor. We have a call with everyone and you guys chat. Say your piece. They'll say their piece. And if at the end of that call, you say to me, Mams, don't want to do it, I'll never bring it up again.
You know, this is the type of older brother type advice that everyone needs. Yeah. You know, we all have that hot-headed moment in us. You do, I do, as men. But to just have someone to go, just fucking... And that's why I try not to make decisions in the heat of the moment. If something's happening, I give it a couple of days and then I think about it, you know? And I think that's such good advice.
It's the best.
Mate, that might have saved this man billions. Like, we're not even joking. That one conversation is that domino effect that could have changed his life. Even if JJ was always going to be good, but this is another level of wealth that we're talking about.
Yeah, but similarly, I can't remember. He's done exactly the same for me where I've been hot-headed and he's like, bro. And I remember Misfits, remember when Jake went in on us about Wasabi being replaced, Swarms in his pajamas. Yeah. That wasn't a nice day for me, man. And I went out and did a video and I'd had a fucking edible. Okay. And I just said, fuck this. And I start doing the squirrel impression.
Oh, shit.
And then I was like, I wasn't used to this.
I realized that. This was a baptism of fire for you, actually.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
And I wasn't used to any of this. Yeah. And it was like, fire this guy, this and that. People also don't know behind the scenes what goes on and everything else. So everyone's like, fire him. Well, who is this guy? Why is he giving these guys to JJ? And it was a plethora of different circumstances that came together that forced certain events to happen. And I take responsibility for my parts in that. But JJ called me. And he just goes, hey, bro, I know you and I know you're going through it and I know you're very strong. But I know what it's like. It's getting to you right now, isn't it? Because I can feel it. And I'm like, bro, it is kind of fucking getting to me, man. This sucks. Like, I'm not used to everyone,
to the internet.
Everyone calling me a 60-year-old man and fucking, you're this, you're that.
And you know what, mate? When you're thrown in at the deep end like you are, like, you didn't get the training school that a lot of people get. Like, a lot of people will grow. They'll have an interaction with KSI. That'll help them build. And they'll go through a few things. You literally are like, boom, you're the guy. Welcome to Misfits.
But I also, this is the crazy thing. I wish there was a way, and don't get me wrong, I've never met as much hate as I get on Twitter for certain things or whatever from Jake Paulers or whatever. And it's nothing compared to JJ. In my world of never being used to any negativity, maybe once in a while when it was on World Star and I was wearing makeup on the Snoop song, you know, I got some comments here and there, but I had to find that funny anyway. Yeah. But this was just a barrage of nonstop. I don't remember who said this to me, but someone said, if they don't know you personally, don't take it personally. Whoever said that is a genius. It's really true.
It's facts, mate. And you know, in that moment, like my first impression of you wasn't great either because I'm like, who's this guy starting on Joe Weller? This is mental. But the more we've gotten to know you on and off camera, I think, yes, you're human and yes, you've made mistakes. But like, we're looking at this Misfits Prime card now as almost like your graduation as a fight promoter. Like, you've had your topsy-turvy, and even, mate, Eddie Hearn is still having these moments till this day, and he's been doing this for years. Yeah. He still has moments where you think, and he's immaculate, he's fantastic, he's one of the best promoters of all time, but even times I look at him and I go, fuck me, why did you say that, mate? So it is going to happen. Well, like, all fight promoters are going to do it.
The more you're on camera, the more you're on a microphone, the more you're susceptible to saying something stupid at some point.
Well, yeah, you're talking to the expert.
Yeah, and it happens, right? Yeah. And it doesn't, I think to ourselves, we've got to make sure we know that it doesn't define who we are to ourselves, even though from outsiders looking in, that's how they're going to see it. That's the guy who did this. That's the guy who did that. That's the way they look at you. Yeah. But you know, my donkeys don't view me like that.
Just to be clear, he owns a farm.
Yeah.
That's not a nickname for anyone.
No. Yeah. My horses don't think of me as the guy who did a squirrel face and fucking hit Jesse Metcalf. They don't give a shit about that. But the irony of it is, again, I have a personality. I can't help that I have that. I'm a passionate person. The irony of it is I'm not out here looking for followers and clout and this and that. I could give a shit. At this point in my life, definitely not. It's not a thing. But yeah, when I wanted to be famous, it was the most evasive thing in the world. And I'm not saying I am now, but if I wanted to...
Ironically, you're not bothered about it. It's right there.
If I wanted to do like, oh, let me do a YouTube channel and do this and do that. I only want to do things that are fun and I'm passionate about. And even those things come with mental challenges nonstop.
Why do you think KSI chose you to run Misfits?
I think from his first fight with Logan, from his second fight with Logan, I was involved in the music. So I got Rick Ross and SX. That was the first song I did with KSI.
Both.
Yeah, both.
You got to give it up to the big man.
And the ring entrance and all of that.
It was sick, like.
Yeah, what a night. But I remember I wasn't that close to him. I'd met him twice, 3 times. We'd spoken on the phone a bunch of times. And after he won, I went into the locker room. Talk about being an outsider. Yeah, I went into the locker room. I was like, yes, JJ. I gave him a big hug. And he was like, a bit like, all right, calm down. And everyone was looking at me like, who's this guy, you know? And I was like, oh shit. I was like, oh, I'm really excited you won, you know? But he wasn't trying to be... I think it took time for JJ to see that I'm genuine with him and my intentions are aligned with him.
I mean, and you know the saddest thing, I've thought about this before, and I don't mean this as a knock on JJ at all. It's just like, in his shoes, I can only assume you will almost never know who your true friends are, because you'll never see them tested to the fullest extent. Like, only when you have that moment that you had and that I've had, where you have zero in the bank account and where the people who you've had built around you for the money, you know, have a reason to either stay or go, then you'll find out. But he'll never have zero. He'll never. And as much as he can get a good idea and he'll think, you know as well as I do, until those motherfuckers are tested, you'd be shocked at how many people will walk away from you in that scenario.
There's been small and medium tests here and there, you know, and I think he's become more astute and more aware of that energy now. And that's because he's done a lot of work on himself. So the more you do on yourself, the more you're aware of other people, because they're a reflection of either who you are or how you've been. You know?
You said he did therapy, and I can only assume you think you've seen the results of that.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing, because I remember, and again, JJ is such a people pleaser in some ways. You know, not all the time, but he has that quality where we were going really hard on the music. It was crazy scheduling and this and that. And I would check in on him. I'm like, are you okay? How are you feeling? And he wouldn't open up and say, bro, this is too much. Then suddenly he would blow up and he'd be like, I can't do this, you know? And I was like, all right, we need to reset. Take a break. Let's figure out what we need to do. What do you want? You know, like, we'd have a lot of these conversations. It's both ways, because even when I'd learn from him, as much as I was a big brother, I'd learn from him, from observing how he treats people and how he is with people. I was like, wow, this guy is so spiritually grounded without ever doing spiritual work outside of therapy and stuff. But I've been to freaking 10-day silence vipassanas and ayahuascas and meditation of 12 hours a day retreats and all this bullshit, because I needed to find that. He naturally has equanimity to some degree, to a very large degree. When something really crazy bad happens, he stays centered. When something really crazy good happens, yeah, he has a little celebration, but he doesn't get moved. It's like a little Buddha. And that's a skill we work hard to acquire. He can take things and say, I have acceptance of this reality, a lot faster than most others. And I think that's a big skill.
There's something that is very spiritual, and not being defined by your wins and letting them get carried away, but also not letting your losses drown you too much either.
Yeah.
It's so hard to do, though, to emotionally regulate yourself like that.
Oh, very hard. And to be honest with yourself, and you think you're honest with yourself, but there's another layer of ego slipping in, and it's a never ending story. But he's very good at that. And I think, don't get me wrong, when he beats Tommy Fury, he's gonna be on
the walls, isn't he? He's gonna be on the ceiling.
Yeah.
Going back to the music side of things, you know, I remember JJ's music, Lamborghini, the classics, which I still have a place in my heart for, because it's
Absolutely.
like, it is really a part of his growth in YouTube history, and seeing him go from that, but then to see him go from those kind of tracks to Holiday, which was on every fucking radio station. Were you in the studio when these were being made? And was there a moment where you were like, oh, we got something here? Like, what? Can you take me back to those times where you realized, okay, we're actually going beyond the YouTube audience with this?
Yes. I mean, look, I think, again, not to take, and I want to be careful because I'm not trying to sit here and say I'm taking credit for everything and I've done all these amazing things. I couldn't have done any of these amazing things without an amazing team and without an amazing version of JJ, which he gave himself, which he gave us every day, you know? But it's funny you bring Holiday up. The label, we sent the song, it was with Jake Gosling and Digital Farm Animals, and we sat there and they sent me the song. I was in LA at the time. They sent me the song and I go, oh my God, this is a fucking smash. This is a smash. This is the next single. And JJ's like, yeah, but Mams, you say that about every song. I'm like, no. This one is special. And then sent it to the label, and God bless them, BMG were amazing with us. We did a great job. But on this song, they went as far as setting up a multi-leader Zoom call with all the heads of departments saying, you cannot put this song out. It's fucking shit. You can't put this song out. Yes. You cannot do this. And
I'm right thinking that's his biggest hit.
It's his biggest hit.
Yeah, because it was everywhere.
It was everywhere. Yeah. But JJ and I, we were like, we know this song is the one. You know, when you're like, I can see this no matter what anyone else tells me. It doesn't matter if Clive Davis, Jimmy Iovine came and said, mate, don't put Holiday out. I would still have done it. JJ would still have done it. And it doesn't mean there weren't doubts here and there, but when we knew, we put it together, it was like, this is the one.
I understand in a sense of like, if someone was to say to you, this ain't really KSI or whatever, like it ain't his usual thing, but I mean, it was a classic in that it was very radio friendly and anyone could listen to it. A 5-year-old, 50-year-old, didn't matter. And I think that transformed him into a different level of artist, where even for me, I'm like, fucking hell, he's at Wembley Stadium singing this.
Yeah.
This is mental.
Like,
and I always thought him and Logan were going to be big, and I was seeing that, but that was the magic, really, that you managed to pull together to take him to that next level.
Well, I understood the JJ brand fairly quickly, and the JJ brand is to keep the fans on their toes. And then his fans have a very honest relationship with him, you know,
yeah, they do.
And he takes it on when it's valid and has merit and it's constructive criticism. He really takes it on.
He does, yeah.
They were like, he's doing all these American features. Boom. We did Houdini with English features. Oh, he needs features for everything. Boom, Holiday. So it's all about doing the setup and then a surprise. Take them away from a natural.
Is that why you called it all over the place?
Yeah. Well, the JJ is one of the few artists that can hop on a house song, a hip hop track, a trap song, and then a pop song like Holiday. There aren't many who can get away with that.
That's so true. I think that's because he has a unique voice, and it's kind of like there's a couple of rappers out there who can do that, but it is hard to do that, to just be able to transfer it to any type of music. And in terms of like where you went from there with Misfits, you don't have a boxing promoter background. So all of a sudden you're put in this situation of, can you help me run this boxing promotion event? What was that like?
Well, I said to JJ, I think, and Liam was managing JJ. I was doing the music management at the time of KSI Logan Part 2. And I said to Liam, I was like, bro, we should be doing our own thing. We should be doing this. And, that's a great idea, blah, blah, blah. But having ideas is easy, right? We can all have ideas, but it's the execution. And that took a long time to put it together. But luckily, I grew up with Kala and Nissa, and we've known each other we were in brawls together against each other's mates, and like we've got proper history, and they're nuts, by the way.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, I said, let's put 2 and 2 together. And JJ was like, I think it's a brilliant idea. I said, look, if we're going to do music, let's make sure you have your own label. Drake does this. Mayweather does this with boxing, where he has his own promotion. De La Hoya, the guys who are the wealthiest, most successful, let's learn from them. Did a broadcast deal with DAZN for 5 years. It didn't start as a 5-year deal. I think after Misfits, after X Series 003 or 002, they just said, no, we need to lock this up and do a 5-year deal.
I'm not surprised. When you look at the other fighters and how volatile the space is, having something that's consistent is a rarity, and you guys are consistent.
Well, that's where they went wrong the first time, is there was this massive buzz, KSI Logan 2, and then it took too much time to follow up with one other card that had influencers.
I think they had Gibb and Jake Paul after that, but that was ages
and that
after.
was it. And that was it. Nothing else. So they knew, and I said this going into the meeting, I'm like, but I didn't expect that we're going to do 10, 12 shows a year. I thought it's going to be like 6 a year. And it's just evolved, you know, and it's super fun. It's super exciting, but it definitely takes up a lot of time and energy. You've got to love it. Brian, I used to have WWE action figures I used to play with when I was a kid, and I'd do commentary and I'd create my own WWE world.
Yeah.
And I was so UFC, when that happened, I was like glued to every, you know, before weight classes were a thing in the UFC, you know. All of this is an amazing kind of dream that's been manifested and aligned with KSI. Like, what are the chances that we love music and we love combat sports, or boxing anyway. But then seeing things like the opportunities it creates for others, other YouTubers, other people on the platform, and more importantly than that, the amount of emails and texts and DMs from mums and dads and kids saying, I was obese, I was depressed, my son, you've saved his life, things like this. That's like, whoa, maybe we're doing something really good here. You know, maybe it's actually, and I've had gym owners tell me that they've had way more memberships from youngsters between 12 and 21 years old since Misfits inception.
1,000,000%.
Yeah.
Maybe since Mike Tyson, there isn't a single movement in boxing that has got as many young people interested in boxing as this has. Not even close.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Anthony Joshua, a lot of them are great people, but this is a different level of impact that we're seeing right now. In terms of the thing I love about Misfits is the name Misfits really sums up what you've managed to make is unlikely heroes, right? And like people like Salt Pappy, we just looked at him today, his transformation from this chubby kid who started off, he looks like a different human. Like, it is insane. What do you make of his transformation?
I think it's just the beginning as well. Like, this is the first time he's tried to really cut weight, you know, and make an effort. And now he's got, you can see his abs through his shirt.
Jokes in it.
I bet he didn't think that would happen a year ago.
It's genuinely inspirational. Like, it's making me go, bloody hell, I need to get my arse in gear. And seeing some of the experiences that we've had on those shows, like Deji's first win, or even Fuzi coming out and having this moment where you see him shredded up and the self-improvement that it's encouraged these guys to have. My favorite actual post-fight interview was Fuzi, and the way he talked about, you know, people feeling so low that they want to die, but that's not really how you feel. It's this version of you. And he's currently going through some stuff. And I just wondered, like, from someone who's worked with Fuzi before, what is he like? And what do you make of what we're seeing now on the internet with all of this attention on him and what it's sort of caused in his mental health? You know, honestly speaking, I think we all have a version of depression and you know, all these buzzwords which trauma, and it, again, we've got to be very careful because you never want to minimize anyone else's experience. Something to me that caused depression to me, to another person would be like, why would that depress you that much? You know, you've got a great life, or this and that. And then to my kid, for example, if she says, I'm depressed, but I don't know why. And that's a tough one, you know, but that's very common for a lot of people as well. So everyone has a different version of it. I know Fusi to be a very pleasant, fun, good, loving guy. He's very intelligent, but he's also his own worst enemy. Yeah, you know? Does feel like what makes everyone want to watch him is also the thing that kind of is destroying him. It's that catastrophic car crash TV that he puts on his live shows. But that's the thing. You start to become that character that you're playing
You know, if you play that character long enough. Listen, speaking of Hollywood, one of the girls I dated, she was a phenomenal actress, like fucking hell, amazing. But she would go and play these roles that were really demanding, really challenging. She was a method actor, which meant she really, really immersed himself in that. Like Al Pacino would wear a blindfold before Scent of a Woman and got into the blind man's character and all that. She became that person. And she would become evil. This sweet, amazing, lovely girl would just become absolutely pure evil during the relationship. You couldn't separate it. I think if you get good at whatever you practice. If you practice complaining a lot and being a victim, which again, it happens, we can all fall into that. If you practice that, you become a really good victim. If you practice taking responsibility and saying, fuck it, I'm going to overcome this. That's a really masculine energy that to bring into something like that. And it doesn't work for everyone. I get that. Some people need sweetness, music, whatever it is. But you got to find something that's going to help you overcome it, not make you go deeper into it. And I think the problem with that Kick deal and everything else, and Kick are amazing, but I'm saying, see, I've got to be a politician.
No, but when the money comes in, it can be a lot, right?
Yeah, it can be a lot because a lot of celebrities that we've seen, from Lindsay to Britney to old school celebrities, you know, during my generation, they weren't ready for that level of attention and fame.
Britney Spears is still struggling with it now.
Gosh, yeah, but what chance does she have? If you don't, and look, I've experienced that on a much smaller scale, but my circle as a wealthy 20-something-year-old kid with all these cars and all this cool stuff, my circle would just tell me, hey, you're amazing. Even if I was shit, if I did something stupid and, you know, overreacted to someone, hey, you better give me some fucking respect, boom, something like that. Oh, that was so funny. It wasn't funny. It was fucking sad. It's cunty of me to be that person. SX taught me that once, and I was so unaware. Like, a girl was crossing the street and I was like, oh, look at that stupid bitch with the fucking this, that. I didn't mean it. It's what I grew up with. And I didn't give it any thought whatsoever, and it was just to amuse myself and say something and amuse him. He said, bro, that's not funny. Why would you say that? It's years ago, right? And I'm like, oh my God, it's not funny. Why the fuck would I say that? It's moments like that he needs to have someone around him to tell him that if he doesn't see it himself, and not get tempted by, at the end of the day, what is fame and money and everything else worth if you're not happy? What is it worth? Because my definition, Brian, of happiness, and I can say this having been broke, wealthy, this, that, without happiness is not worth it.
And it's always great to have people like that around you, SX there, who would give you the truth.
Yeah. And
you have to know, like, who can I trust to tell me that? And if I am acting like a dickhead, I need someone to pull me up.
Absolutely.
And in terms of the Misfits roster, as well as you're building that up, Jake Paul, yet to be on it, yet to make that fight. And I know a lot of people will want to know why. And I know you kind of had to explain this a little bit, but like, there's been a lot of back and forth, and we're in danger of this becoming
it's oversaturated, the talk about it.
Yeah, the cliche sort of Pacquiao Mayweather thing where when you finally get it, you're like, yeah.
Hey, Pacquiao Mayweather still did the most pay-per-views in history.
You're right. But in retrospect, it does not have the legacy meaning fight that it once could have had. It is in, like, for me, KSI's thing is legacy.
Yes, it is.
That's what he's all about. And to get this fight done in time is important as well. What went wrong?
You know, some people bring out the best in you. And Jake's manager, on a business front, brings out the worst in me, and I bring out the worst in him, and KSI and Jake bring out the worst in each other. And
was that you taking some accountability?
Yeah,
also?
of course, I have to, because I'm fiercely loyal to JJ, and I will always be loyal to him. You know, like, I'm going to try and get him the best deal, just as they're going to try and get Jake the best deal. It was never he's a tough guy to negotiate with, Jake's manager, and not always very fair. And I try to be fair, but when someone doesn't keep their word and breaks their word with me once, then it's difficult for me to have trust again. But when he does it 3 times, at that point, I'm like, fuck you.
What isn't fair?
When him and I, and Jake's manager and I have had some really good conversations where you almost think I'm speaking to a mate. So it's such a fickle, crazy world like that, you know? 1 minute we're swearing at each other. We're literally saying, I'm like, come on, let's get in the ring then. And
We'll be the undercard.
yeah. And he's saying, you fucking clown, you want clout on Twitter. I'm like, me, blah, blah. And we're going at it. And 5 minutes later, we're like, all right, so let's talk business. You know what? Let's have a kebab because we're both Iranian. Like, let's have a kebab at some point and we'll be okay. We'll get over it.
It's so funny that Jake and JJ both went for Iranian managers. I don't know what that is.
Yeah. Watch out with Iranian managers.
Yeah, well,
there's a few exceptions.
The confusion for the fans is, and this goes for the big fights in influencer boxing and real boxing, you're like, if you're two big, massive names, you carve it down the middle. So that the question is, how can that not be done?
We did. Eventually, we got there to a point where we're like, all right, look, let's stop comparing dick sizes here. Let's just do 50-50. You're in agreement that we're going to do way bigger numbers if it's in a stadium in the UK? Yes, I am. All right, me too. Great. So that's decided. Then what? So we actually booked Cardiff. What is it? Them 90,000.
Fucking massive.
Massive.
Yeah.
Okay, we booked Cardiff for December 3rd, I think it was. And then we discussed bringing it forward. And he rejected both dates after agreeing. We agreed on everything. The only 2 points that we didn't agree on, we agreed on weight. We agreed on...
the weight was what, sorry?
The weight was 180 with a 10-pound rehydration.
Okay.
Okay? Mm-hmm. JJ is a lot smaller. Honestly, we should have had that with Tommy.
Definitely.
Yeah, but yeah. You know what? The person who put his foot down and said, I don't give a fuck, make this fight happen, JJ.
Okay.
He said, I don't care. I want this fight. And I said, it's not going to happen. The Fury said no, to have him fight someone lighter than Tommy's too big, blah, blah, blah. And we were stuck. And I was like, shit.
Okay, wait there. We'll get to Tommy in a minute.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So 180, rehydration clause, £10.
Yeah.
That was what was agreed?
Yes. I said, look, Nikisa, we either do 177.5 with no rehydration. No rehydration, 177.5, or you do 180 with the 10-pound rehydration. That's our compromise, because I can say we want 175. JJ easily he could get to 170 easily.
Yes.
Jake can say 185. We're just never going to make it happen. So what's a fair compromise for us? And we agreed on that after a lot of back and forth. We agreed on the venue. We agreed on the date. We agreed on pretty much everything. The only 2 stumbling blocks were, this one's minor. The minor one was basically who does the undercard. And I said, one of us do the undercard as MVP, and one does it as Misfits, in terms of either we take turns in the fights, but then there was the co-main. So it was like bickering over silly things. But I said, okay, here's a solution. You do the co-main, I'll do the rest of the card, or I'll do the co-main, you do the rest of the card. Either way, it's cool. And so we were getting there. We were like, all right, we'll sort something out, because he wanted Amanda Serrano on the co-main.
Of course.
And I said, okay, then just give me the rest. So that was close to being sorted, but we both acknowledged that's not a deal breaker. Then he brought in this thing about winner takes all. And I spoke to JJ and he said, yeah, let's do it. I said, okay, cool. Problem is, winner takes all is JJ's purse, Jake's purse, which will be a massive purse. They put it in the middle and the winner takes all. But Nikisa then said, no, it's got to be all the promotion stuff. I'm like, I've got a fucking deal with Wasserman and DAZN. They're not gonna say, hey, let's put the money in the pot. They're not. What
Production isn't done based on who wins, is it? Everyone needs paid regardless.
Everyone needs to get paid, recoup the massive money they're going to put into this. It's not like, so it was unrealistic. And then even after that, we said, okay, we'll just do their purses. Me and Nikisa talking personally said, okay, let's do the Tommy fight and we'll square this away. We'll get it done in December or earlier.
They said, let's do the Tommy fight because they were about to do the Tommy fight.
They did the Tommy fight at that point. We were still negotiating.
Okay.
They did the Tommy fight. I pushed. I said, let's do the JJ fight next. And then he said, Nikisa, in fairness, said, I like this fight. I think this is what Jake should do next. I think it's a great money fight.
It made a lot of sense, yeah.
Jake said, no, I don't want to do this fight. And his excuse was, I want to redeem my loss by fighting a bigger name, which, let's face it, as big a name as Nate is, he's not as tough a challenge as JJ would be.
That fight, the event wasn't what I think they hoped it would have become. And I think part of that's down to Nate just didn't really put his foot down and really give it 100%. He was there to cash the check.
Yeah.
And I suppose that's, better the devil, they should have done it with JJ, I think, in that regard. Do you think that this can still happen? And do you think after the Tommy fight, we will see it regardless of the Tommy result? Or do you think it's still going to be problematic?
I hope that it does happen. I think fans deserve it. I would love to make it happen. I would love the negotiation to be live streamed. I would love it to be live streamed. Everyone out in the open, say what you want, anything hidden, any bullshit, and not go in there with, oh, let me have these points so I can make you look bad and you can make me look bad. That's why it won't happen if we do that. But if we go in sincerely with an intention of making this fight happen, then I think it should. I think, I said they bring the worst out in each other. I think they also bring the best out in each other.
Oh, yeah.
Imagine if Jake bought Kingpin and he was like, this is my company now. It'll be amazing for Misfits Boxing too. That's what you need. You need competition to drive you even further, to push you to your limit.
Kingpin seems to have been run in a crazy way. What was it like for you as a not as a competitor, but as someone in the space watching that all unfold the way it did? Because you must have had an idea, because even I had an idea. I was watching the production that they were putting on, and I know how much production costs. Yeah. And how they're paying a lot of money for fighters like Gibb, for example, who I was so happy for Gibb, but you do wonder, like, what's the pay-per-view buy rate going to be like to justify all of this?
It's a tough space with the pirating. Very tough. And even without the pirating, when you're overpaying to that degree, I think they learn from their mistakes. They're really nice guys from my experience and my dealings with them. And they ran into some unfortunate problems. So look, you've got to study. Do you remember Affliction had an organizer? I
remember when they had Fedor.
They were buying everybody, paying everybody lots. History repeats itself. So for me, it's like I said to King Kenny, to Jay Swingler, to Zanetti, to all these guys, to L, I said, you guys, I even said it to Slim at the time and Salt Pappy as well. I said, you guys, I can't compete with this fee because it's not worth it. You're getting overpaid. So go and get overpaid. Go and do it. God bless you. I don't want to hold you back and be, be some controlling guy when you've got an opportunity to make double what I can offer you, or even more so in some cases. Go make your money and come back.
Ironically, they went and they didn't make that money because half of them didn't seem to even get paid. And the saddest bit, from what I've been told, is they didn't even get replied to. They just got blanked as if they didn't even exist. And then you've got that girl who showed her boobs and was told, oh, you can do that, get your boobs out, just don't say it was from me. And then he sacks her after everyone's in uproar about it. So the reputational damage that's been done by Kingpin is horrendous.
I'll say this without saying too much. It's really not all their fault. I don't want to just be flapping my mouth about. It's not all their fault. There's circumstances and things that happened that were very, very tough on them as well. And I'm sure, look, they've made their mistakes. Everyone made mistakes. But yeah, it's never just one-sided fully.
Oh yeah, I'm sure they had it hard, but when you owe people money and you're not even acknowledging their existence,
cool. Yeah,
that's never good.
No.
And I don't think they should be allowed to promote a show again for that reason. To me, like, if you haven't paid fighters, you're done. In my opinion.
Yeah. No, I can't argue with that. I mean, that's the one thing I think that no one can, even haters of Misfits Boxing, can say is like, everyone gets paid. And if there's a delay on payment, it's usually because they send the wrong bank account, So
moving on to the Prime card. This is, to me, the graduation of what you've been building. You've been learning a lot. You've had so many crazy moments from that Nazi guy and what was that like, by the way?
That was what I was saying. Those 2-3 days for me were fucking hell.
For those who don't know, by the way, KSI had like opponent pull out. You try to put someone in with him. Turned out he's a fucking lunatic who looked like he'd escaped from prison or whatever. And yeah, we found out he was a bloody Nazi or something. But yeah, now here's the interesting thing. My main surprise when we were talking in the WhatsApp group when we were trying to fill the card and say who should fight who. Dylan Dennis. You were unanimously outvoted that we shouldn't, we were saying we don't believe he's going to show up, so don't give him the chance. But you spoke to him and you said, look, I've talked to him and I believe he's going to show up. What is it about Dylan that convinced you?
I think he has a hunger inside him and he's got to overcome these demons as well. And I think that's where he's going to do it in the ring. I mean,
can I ask you what the hunger is for?
Do you remember I was telling you I got in the music business because I wanted to be famous?
I agree.
And it's not who I am today in any way, shape or form. But at the same time, maybe he finds himself through this journey. I don't know what his journey is, but at the end of the day, it's been a tough ride. Logan said, I've had a beef with this guy. Let me fight him. I want to fight him as well. So ultimately it was up to Logan who he decided to fight. But I will give Logan a lot of credit that when we put the options before him about a replacement opponent, he went straight for Mike Perry,
who is a bare knuckle legend at this point.
He's a tough guy.
Yeah, it ain't an easy fight, that.
No.
Because we were like, you sure? Like our response in the group chat was like that. And Logan seemed very confident against him as well, right?
Oh, yeah. Incredibly. Like, there's no doubt. He's like, you don't know. You don't know. I'm like, bro, you sure that's a tough guy?
So you make the Dylan Dennis fight, despite him pulling out last time, which must have been a nightmare.
It was a nightmare.
Yeah. And with 10 days to spare, and after everyone told you he was probably going to pull out, is there not severe worries this time? Or what level of contract are we talking about where you're saying you're going to fine him $100,000 to make sure that happens?
Well, here's the thing. I think he's got way more to lose if he does it twice in a row. I don't think anyone will work with him. I don't think any promoter worth a damn will ever work with him if he pulled out. And as the fight is nearing, I really have more confidence than ever before that he's going to fight. I mean, he's built this. Now he's the anti-hero guy. He's built this image. He's got this popularity. He's where he wanted to be. And he's loved for it.
Yeah. Yeah, he definitely is. You can't deny that.
So if he doesn't show up, he undoes all of that work and is left with a lawsuit and nothing to show for it.
And minus $100,000 potentially.
Yes.
Yeah. So what have you and the guys at Misfits and DAZN, these tweets are coming out from Dylan. He's going after Logan's wife-to-be. What's your thoughts and feelings on all of that? Because you're essentially the guy who's creating the situation, and you probably didn't think he was going to do this.
Of course not.
Yeah.
I had no clue. Look, at the end of the day, as a dad to a daughter, I don't condone what he's done. Logan is a good friend, but it's also undeniable that he's gotten a lot of attention for it and brought it to the fight.
And how do you think he's handling the Dylan situation? When he talks about it to you, is he? I know you've checked in with him, right?
I have, but he doesn't say, "Oh man, I'm going through a lot of shit with this. It's terrible." He just stays stoic and strong. So I don't know, behind closed doors what's going on, but he certainly seems enthusiastic in our group chats, very friendly and on top of things. He never misses a opportunity to make a joke and make a intelligent suggestion about marketing strategies for Prime and this and that. So I don't know. To him, he's to us, he's not shown anything.
These two, because of the level of hatred that you can see building, this event, because of that, is going to be through the roof because you've got such value there. Eddie Hearn must be so jealous of you right now because this is going to be one of the biggest events in UK sport history. I
think so. We got these Brazilians, we got the Furies bringing in traditional boxing enthusiasts, we got MMA community, and I even saw Cedric Gervais and Tiesto commenting on Dylan. Oh, I'm definitely watching this. I don't think they've seen one.
Yeah, and because Dylan is a villain in the MMA space, like the MMA guys, a lot of them have disliked him.
They want to see him get beat.
Yeah, so there's a whole group of people who want to see Logan get beat.
Yeah.
Whole group of people who want to see Dylan get beat. People want to see KSI get beat. People want to see Tommy get beat. It's the perfect storm.
For that reason, I wanted to showcase the best of what we have. So we might not get you get one chance to make a first impression, and I want it to be a good one.
I credit you. And, at first there was a lot of questions about who is this Mams guy and, and what is Misfits becoming? But this is a real moment of like UFC 100 or WrestleMania. I suppose you want to do one of these a year, right? So it's going to be an epic moment that you can build around. And look, the main event, Tommy Fury, KSI, talk to me about the negotiations for that. You'd have thought Tommy, being the fighting man, would have been easy to negotiate with, was he?
I'll tell you what, it wasn't easy, but it was easy in comparison to negotiations with Jake, for example.
Wow, okay.
Really, really was, because...
Who were you negotiating with? Was it Big John?
Actually, no. Yes, Calla was negotiating with Big John. And everything went through Big John. Nothing.
Love that.
Big John, at least, it wasn't such a back and forth, and it wasn't, they said at one point, they're like, look, this is it. Either you take it or leave it. Tommy's not, and they were serious. Like, Tommy's not going below.
Because Jake was waiting in the wings for his rematch, I guess.
Jake didn't want his rematch right away, and that's what we thought he was going to go for, but he didn't want his rematch, which then we said, okay, then you've got to fight KSI. Who else is there?
No one.
And then,
exactly.
Yeah, that's the narrative of the ducking and the this. Look, and I'll go back to Tommy and the Prime card in a sec, but I think that Jake, where does he go after he loses to KSI? Let's say hypothetically, for people who think Jake will 100% win, I think KSI is going to 100% win. But let's just imagine Jake loses to KSI. What happens? Because that's all he's got. Unless it's a massively close fight that demands a rematch, right? Where does he go from a loss to KSI? This guy who wants to fight Canelo and become the world champion of the WBC and WBO one day. He lost to KSI. And he lost to Tommy Fury, then what? So it's a risky move for him. That's truly what I think has made it sour. But listen, I'm going to be biased. I'm going to be on KSI's side. Maybe there's something I'm missing. But from my perspective, assessing this, I'm like, I get why Jake was hesitant, because I thought he would have jumped at it. He was jumping at it when Wasabi backed out. He said, all right, let's do it.
He was riding a wave then. And I don't know if the losses made him think twice or...
I don't know. And JJ also, look, as much as JJ was like, bro, let's do this. I said, no. His trainer said, no, not yet.
Yeah.
It's not 2 weeks notice. We've been training for Wasabi. We haven't been training for Jake Paul. It was a lot riskier for JJ to fight Jake then. He had a much higher chance of losing at that point. And now,
yeah, JJ was so green. He's had a lot more fights since then. He's had a lot more training.
Sparring.
My worry for the Tommy Fury fight is the incremental jumps have been reasonable, but the jump between Joe Fournier and Tommy Fury is, for me, a massive jump. Whereas if you look at Jake Paul's jump from Anderson Silva to Tommy Fury and Tyron Woodley, it doesn't feel to me as big of a jump. And I'd seen Jake in 8 rounders and he'd been through it. And I thought, you know what, even if it's not going his way, he's got enough to keep himself in the fight and see the fight out.
Yeah.
Whereas with KSI, it's kind of a beautiful unknown moment where I'm like, I know you can punch. I fucking know you can punch. But I don't know what other than that. Because he's been knocking people out so quickly. We haven't seen him in the trenches, and we haven't seen him against like a big guy like Anderson Silva, where you're having to tuck in and make sure you see the round out. So, are you a little bit worried that maybe this has come a little too quick, or no worries?
Because we were unable to execute the trajectory of opponents in the way that we initially wanted to. I think for that reason, he's almost under a lot of pressure or I think that the decision was partly because he had to. There's a couple of things. He wanted Jake. He really wanted to fight Jake. When Jake's not available, what's the best option? Actually, even a better option than fighting Jake is to fight the guy who beat Jake. Mm-hmm. That's how you make a statement with that. And I think because he didn't fight UFC legends or anything like that. I think it's necessary for him to have to make this jump to prove his point, because he always says, I'm better than Jake. I'll beat the shit out of Jake. I believe it. His team believes it. So why not go for it? And it's unfortunate the build couldn't have been a little bit more strategically kind of, I guess, appropriate for, you know, or more sensical in terms of the build. You know, going from this guy who's this level, this guy, and it is what it is. But he really wanted this fight after Jake said no. And I think I believe JJ wins this, I really do. And I believed it with Logan. And I'll tell you, the level of confidence was he was shooting a music video with Rick Ross and Little Baby and SX the day after the fight with Logan. And BMG were like, but what if he loses? What do we do? We've spent all this money on the set. We've got all these guys' flights and their entourages, and everyone's in LA to do this video. What if he loses? And I just said, he's not losing. Don't worry. He'll be there. You know, because I believe in him, because he believes in himself.
Yeah.
If JJ had a doubt, I'd shit myself. You know? But he doesn't. And I see him and I'm like, if JJ was to beat Tommy Fury, and I think he beats him 8 out of 10 times, but if he was to beat him 1 out of 10 times, that one time will be October 14th.
It's so funny because I did my face-off reaction a couple of days ago, and I said, the one thing I'm 100% sure of is whatever the best version of JJ is, he will be there on that day. Yeah. Because he is the man in the arena. Like, he's so good at being calm and present in a moment where everyone else is feeling the fucking nerves.
He shows up.
Yeah, and he is a big game player, and and that's why he beat Logan, in my opinion, because he had more of that than Logan did at that moment. And as much as I think Tommy is a better boxer than KSI is in terms of technique, Tommy, like, for all he was, like Big John was saying, if we don't finish Jake Paul, that's a loss for us. Well, you didn't. You didn't even come close to it because the nerves, man, people don't understand. He went from the curtain jerker at Wembley for his big brother, where no one even gave a fuck, to being in the main event in Saudi Arabia. That atmosphere ain't going to compare to Manchester. And you really have to have your balls together in that moment, I guess, when you're walking out.
You're right. And I hope that is the case on that night where that plays a big part. But at the end of the day, he has experienced it on a big stage once before. Second time, will it be the same? Will it be easier?
He might be better for it. Yeah.
JJ can't rely on any of those factors. We can hope for them. But what JJ's preparing for is plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D.
Have you seen him sparring?
Yes.
And how are you feeling compared to previous versions of JJ? What are you feeling like?
If obviously you honor the code of not revealing who he sparred and how things happen, so I won't go there, but he's put down some boys that he shouldn't be putting down, that are tougher than Tommy as boxers. And if he shows up as that guy that I've seen sparring, which he's better on fight night than he is. There's a lot of gym fighters who are amazing at sparring and shit when it comes to under the lights, and vice versa.
It's funny because Tommy said that. He went, if it was all about sparring, I'd be a world champion.
Yeah,
well, then,
that's true.
Maybe you're better in the gym, bro.
Maybe he is. Yeah. But yeah, listen, at the end of the day, I think for us, prime card, it can't get bigger than this. The stakes are so high. He is massively the underdog.
Yeah, really, really the underdog.
That's the story of the prime card. The other story of the prime card is there's been an absolute hatred built up between Logan Paul and Dylan Dennis. Logan wants to wring his neck.
Do you think there'll be any handshake afterwards?
I can't see it.
I can't either. And you know what? Logan is that guy normally. Like,
he does. Do you remember with JJ?
He told me before the fight, even if I win, like, I'm going to shake his hand and it'll be all good. Like, I'm ready to let this go now. Do you know what I mean? And but I don't see that happening. If anything, I think this is going to be, I don't even think this is over after the fight, you know. I think it might even just have begun. Like, we might, because the lawsuit and shit, you know.
MMA fight, if they have one.
Yeah, if they won. Yeah.
And what about, would KSI and Jake shake each other's hand after their fight?
I think they might.
You think so?
Yeah, because there's respect there. Why would you care about beating this guy so badly if you didn't respect them? It wouldn't mean anything. They clearly respect each other.
It gives them both a purpose. I think JJ admitted that for a long time. He got to a point where he gave up on it. And he said, okay, let me do the next best thing for me.
You mentioned what should Jake do? And I've been thinking about this because genuinely, like after that Nate Diaz fight, I just felt a little bit like this ain't going in the direction that you're talking about right now. You're going the distance with Nate Diaz. Well done. Good result. Who would have thought you'd have beat Nate Diaz years ago? Not many.
No one.
Credit to you. But equally, you're not looking like a world champion boxer. And I know that that's going to take time if you want to do that. But personally, if I was Jake, I'd be thinking about MMA. You've shown you can put MMA guys down, learn the rest of it. And, MMA is different. You can make your way up the ranks differently than a boxing. It's a lot more down to your skill set and just there's so many different dimensions in MMA. If you're great at one thing and you fill in the gaps in the rest, you can do stuff.
Totally. Yeah, and I think Logan would be great at MMA as well.
Yes,
he's a great wrestler. He's got the base. His strength is,
You could argue Logan might be better at MMA than any of these guys, just in terms of the athlete he is. It's a joke.
Yeah, WWE, who does that in such a short time?
I'll never forget this dude fucking the viral moment where he's like doing that on the turnbuckle and then before you know KSI's on the thing getting...
Oh, man. I was so
good.
Shitting it that day. I'm like there in the front. Is he okay?
Had they rehearsed that much, or was that the first time they did it? Or
am I allowed to say? I don't know.
I assume that you can say it.
Well, didn't want to do it too much because it's a bloody risky thing and it hurts. Yeah. But he was okay, and we made sure he was okay. Thank God. And then he was fighting Fournier a couple of weeks after that.
I'll never forget that moment where KSI peels the mask off and his eyes are there and it's like the funniest shit I've ever seen.
Classic.
One of the biggest moments this year has got to have been Conor McGregor calling out KSI. Your eyes must have been ching, 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 ching. You must have been thinking the money's coming in here. Like, what do you make of that whole situation?
Honestly, again, I swear I'm not... It's not the money. It's more like Conor McGregor, the legacy of Conor McGregor, KSI, and, the potential of that happening. Obviously, Prime, UFC, all of that, the relationships. I mean,
you guys are sponsoring the UFC, so...
I think it's all doable, and I think...
The fight is doable.
Yeah, and I think it's something that would make a lot of sense in terms of legacy. I mean... KSI versus Conor McGregor, massive
Just
fight.
Even saying that sentence, You're like, dude, I mean, so many of my videos have been about both of these guys.
Yeah.
And I've thanks to the both of them, I owe them a fair bit of money, 20%. But even if Conor hates us, I respect that. But that fight would just be the ultimate in terms of clicks, wouldn't it? It would be insane.
I think we'll see a lot more of Conor around Misfits, and with Uncle Dana's blessing, hopefully everything. We could hopefully see that in the future.
Yeah, I mean, he is looking like he's coming to the end of his MMA career, but the hunger to be in a ring or a combat sports situation is just there with him. It'll probably not leave him. And if he can, with his leg not being 100%, it probably never will be after that. To do boxing makes sense, and he's already done it before with Mayweather. Why not make extra money, with these YouTube guys? And especially KSI, because the size of KSI and Conor is not that far apart at all.
And let's not forget, like, Conor has hands. Conor actually, like, when he fought Aldo, didn't everyone, like, do you remember how you felt when you saw that?
It was a once-in-a-lifetime moment, mate. That was like, this guy is capable of magic. He called this. First round knockout.
Yeah.
Guy never lost in 10 years, and boom, out cold. First punch. It was mental.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it is a shame where he's at right now in terms of, like, I guess for me, him calling out KSI was a sign of the times as well. Like, is this you? Like, you're normally the guy calling out the world champions, but everyone has their day, and I think that's a way of him to extend his legacy and fighting and to keep the show going and to keep himself occupied.
Yeah, and it's got to be, like, I think he has fun doing it. He has fun on the microphone, being on stage, and all of that. That's what it's about. I mean, will his legacy? I think his legacy will always be there for what it is, but obviously if it went a different way and he kept that hunger in the UFC and didn't maybe stayed more disciplined. That's the tough part with partying and enjoying the success for a bit too long. It takes away the hunger.
And I suppose that's a trap that you kind of want to steer KSI away from. And weirdly, for as long as I've known him, that's never been an issue for him.
It happened for a very brief period of time.
Oh, really?
Yes.
What was that like?
That was basically what happened was he went through. Okay, so during lockdown he's been famous for a long time, right? In the different, he was internet famous, YouTube famous, like all of that. People would recognize him. When we first started, we'd walk out, maybe 3 people would come up to him over a duration of 30 minutes, like, hey, what's up? Oh, you're KSI. Or 4 people, 5 people. But it wasn't what it became during lockdown. And he didn't know because he was locked down. And then suddenly the music, the interviews, Jonathan Ross and this and that and the other, all the
household
UK
name
stuff,
then, right?
Household name, the Goggle Box, all of it. It was, and the ratings were all crazy for all of these shows. They were spiking as soon as KSI was on there. So he suddenly would go out, and I remember it happened. We went to watch an England match, and everyone, like we had, he had security and everything else, but everyone was coming to mob him. And after that, he's always had security with him since that day. It genuinely
we've
felt.
seen the big dude.
Yeah. And Steve was with him for a long time before that.
Good old Steve.
But now it's like we took measures because it felt unsafe wherever he went. So those days where it was 4 or 5 people coming up to him randomly, if word gets out, people mob him. And it got to that state. And then suddenly he was in a place where I think he was getting a lot more attention from,
Oh, yeah.
It took him only a matter of months to say, hey, this isn't me.
How did you notice it, though, from the outside? Was there a moment where you were like, dude, what the fuck?
We'd speak about it. We'd talk about it a lot. And he's like, yeah, I want to experience this. I want to experience that. And I just said, all right, well, look, if this is what you want, if you don't experience what you're itching to experience, then you'll always wonder.
We always wonder.
Yeah. So if that's how you feel, go do it. And then he was like, fuck, bro, I fucked up. I don't want to do this. And he didn't fuck up in any major way. He was really honest throughout the whole thing. And that was...
I'm just picturing like 10 women and him in a room or something.
Listen, you picture it. But at the end of the day, I was so impressed with that, because if that was me, I'd be rock starring it for
Absolutely.
5, 10 years, 15 years. I might not come back. Now I would. Now I'm grounded. But at that age, with the circumstances being what they were, I was like, fucking hell, that's a strong guy to be able to see that and say, hey, this doesn't make me happy. This is an illusion. This is what makes me happy. And now I know that.
Isn't it funny, right? How we see the ego version of him when he's on camera and he's like, Tommy Fury! And it's fucking hilarious, right?
Love it.
But people will react to that on Twitter and be like, this guy, you know what I mean? And the real truth of the matter is like, if every one of those people out there were given all of the things that he has been given in life, would you be able to keep yourself as grounded off camera as what he does? It's challenging, like
100%.
He's done a better job of it than I would have done, for real. Like, seriously.
I think I'd be dead.
Yeah.
but he, if you're in a room with him at some elegant party or something like that, an awards ceremony, that guy is an introvert. 100%. He's an introverted guy. It's not easy, unless you know him, to make conversation with him in those circumstances, because he's not that comfortable going out and being around loads of people. He likes to be around his familiar circumstances.
There's a switch that he flicks, I feel like, where he becomes KSI. Yeah. And there's like JJ, who's the low, like more low-key chill, like really chill guy.
Super chill.
Yeah, complete opposite version of that. That brings us to the final question, I guess, is how would you like to be remembered?
I used to really think that was important. I used to think it was so important, but I don't think it's important as long as my daughter thinks of me as someone who was very present and influential and did everything could to love her. to a small circle of people, I'll be remembered in fleeting moments. Oh yeah, he's a nice guy. Oh yeah, do you remember when he did this? What a wanker. But guess what? I won't be around to see it or hear it or read the tweets. So,
and I really appreciate the chat, mate. This has been fantastic. We've definitely got some gold out of you today. So thanks very much.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
Nice one. Don't forget, you can check out the Prime card on DAZN, which will be coming up in October. What's the date again?
October 14th.
There we go.
Prime card, baby.
Yeah, we'll be checking that out. Big love to Mams and everyone at Misfits, and peace.